Welcome back to another episode of Sweet Precision with me, Benjamin Bishop, pastry chef. Today we're going to be making brownies. People might ask, why brownies? Well, these are much different than the box kind that a lot of people use, but almost just as simple. So I'm going to go over the ingredients and then we're going to get started after that. Okay, so we're going to start out with the ingredients first. First we have an unsalted butter here that's half melted. We're going to be melting that fully. Also a 72% chocolate, granulated white sugar, eggs, all-purpose flour that has been pre-sifted, also a tiny bit of salt, baking powder, and vanilla extract. So we're going to be coming back right after this and we're going to get started. Okay, so let's get started. First thing is that we're going to be turning on our burner probably to a medium, and we're going to be putting our butter in there. The butter needs to come to a full melt, and we're going to get that a little hot because the butter is going to help to melt the chocolate. So we have that on here. This shouldn't take too long. And then I like dark chocolate. Again, this is a 72%. You can go even darker than that, up to like a 90%. There is going to be sugar into this, but these brownies aren't overly sweet. You can also use a milk chocolate if you wanted to. The difference is for me that I just like the cleaner flavor of a dark chocolate, but semi-sweet to dark chocolate is great. Milk chocolate if that's what you feel that you prefer. So our butter is just about melted. And we're going to add the chocolate. Now, when you add the chocolate, you don't want to just have it sit here. You're going to have to stir it a little bit. Make sure that the chocolate doesn't burn on the bottom. And the butter will help to melt, and I still have this on a flame. Again, it's about a medium heat. And I'm using a silicone spatula here. Probably the best thing to use because these are rated for higher temperatures and you're not going to melt them while you're melting everything else. Okay, so scraping down at the bottom of the bowl, like I said, you don't want to burn the chocolate. So we're just bringing this to the chocolate being melted completely, and that's it. We do not want to have this boiling, so it doesn't have to get too terribly hot. In fact, I'm going to turn down the flame just a little bit and get this to a nice smooth consistency. After this, I'm going to be putting this into the mixer. I said in other episodes, you don't need a stand mixer. You can have a hand mixer or even do this by hand as well. This is somewhat of a forgiving recipe. The only thing is you don't want to overmix it. That is the biggest part that I feel that when I'm talking to people, they don't realize. They feel that the flour is not incorporated enough, so they just keep mixing it and mixing it. When you're mixing in the flour, you have to be careful. It will create gluten because this is a wheat flour, and gluten is created by moisture and mixing or stirring. So because brownies are not very tough, that's the reason, because you're not over mixing that flour. So don't create too much gluten, but we'll be going over that in just a moment. All right, so chocolate is fully melted, and I'm just going to pour this directly into my bowl. Scraping down everything that's in there. Make sure you get it all. Chocolate can be expensive, so we don't want to waste it. All right, to that, we're going to be adding our sugar right away. This will help to cool it down, but also because of the heat from the chocolate, it'll help to start to melt that sugar a little bit so we don't have a grainy brownie after that. So I'm just going to be turning this on for just a couple seconds, and I'll be right there. Okay, the sugar is in there. Again, it's only for a few minutes or a couple seconds that you have to be mixing that in. But the eggs, again, we don't want to be incorporating too much air. So there's other things, other episodes that I've been talking about where we don't want to incorporate air. Because these brownies are nice and fudgy, if you put too much air in there, it'll start to get cakier as they bake off. So we're just going to put the eggs in one by one, and then have them just to get incorporated, and that's it. Then we're going to be going on to the flour. So I'm going to start that process, and then we'll be right back because this will take about a minute. All right, those eggs have been added one by one and just enough to incorporate. I am going to take my spatula and just scrape down the sides, just in case there has been something that's been left on the bottom or off to the sides that's just not incorporated quite yet. Now, because this mixture has cooled down because of the eggs and the sugar that's been in there, I'm going to add that vanilla. The vanilla, you don't want to add when it's too hot because you could actually lose the flavor of the vanilla. So that's in. I'm also going to be adding the dry ingredients together. So that's my baking powder and my salt. And this can go in all at once. And this is the point where you don't want to overmix. So I'm going to be mixing this and then finishing off by hand. So give me 1 second here. On a very low speed. All right, so I'm going to take this off, scrape my paddle. You'll notice that you'll see some flour in there still. That's not a problem. Like I said, we're going to be finishing this off by hand. So just want to scrape this off so we're not leaving anybody without a bite. And just a couple stirs with my spatula. All right, scraping around the side, making sure that I get that flour in there, making sure that I get all the way down to the bottom as well. Of course, if you spill something, just wipe it up. Making sure that you're getting all the way down to the bottom of the bowl and having everything mixed together. And that's it. You don't want to mix any more. So I do have a prepared pan here. This is a 1/4 sheet pan. I've lined it with parchment paper and I have greased the sides. You don't need to grease the bottom because the parchment paper is there. If you don't have parchment paper, no problem. Just grease the entire thing. And then this mixture goes right into the pan. We're going to level this out so we don't have one side that's not as high as the other, and that just gives you a bad result because who would want a smaller brownie than their neighbor right next to them? So I just take the pan and make sure that it gets into the corners, and this helps to level it out as well. So just do a nice little shake back and forth, and that is a level pan. All right, so this is going into a preheated 350-degree oven. You're going to be having these in for around 20 to 25 minutes. I can't give you a specific time because everybody's oven is different. But the way that you know that brownies are done is it's not going to be a cake. It's not going to be springing back on you. They will just have this nice sheen over top, and they'll almost be like a gelatin mixture. It's not fully set on the inside. It's not wet looking, it's going to be dry looking. So just keep an eye on that. You don't want to overbake your brownies. So these are going to go into the oven, and we'll be right back. I'll show you the plating for the brownies when we're done. Okay, so our brownies have come out of the oven right now, and they have been sitting on the counter for a while. It took about 25 minutes for them to be completed, and we want to have them come to a room temperature. But in the meantime, since this whole season has been about elevating your desserts, I want to do this in a different way. We're not just going to be cutting these into squares and serving them, although you can. You can take these to your picnics or what have you, serve them up for dinner, or just have them on your counter for when you need them. But we're going to be serving this up as a plated dessert. So what we're doing here is taking some melted chocolate. I melted this in the microwave, and when you're melting chocolate in the microwave, you want to do short time intervals. So I did this about every 20 seconds, did a stir, and then melted it again for another 20 seconds. Remember, as in other episodes I talked about, when you're melting chocolate like this, you're going to be only bringing this up to a warm state. You're not getting this very hot. If you get it too hot, it'll char or it'll start to granulize. Chocolate melts at body temperature, so you're just getting it over body temperature. So again, if you want to know how to make the paper cones that I'm going to be using, that is also in another episode, so just make sure that you watch everything. I'm going to be taking some of this melted chocolate and only filling up my bag about halfway. We don't want to do it more than half, because then you have a chance of this spilling. And if anybody is trying this at home and you haven't done this before, give yourself some grace, because this takes some practice. I just wanted to show you that you can elevate your brownies here. These aren't just, like I said, the box brownies. Take a little knife and just cut off a very small tip. And I'm going to make a piped design onto our plate that we can use for sauce. This will set up on the plate. I'm just going to give just a tiny bit more. And I want to make sure that I have a nice steady stream when I'm giving the pressure on there. So when you're piping with your bag, you want a nice even pressure. And just to continue with what you're doing or piping. Some people have been known to just do like a Jackson Pollock, where you're just doing squiggles everywhere. That's totally fine. That's for people that might not be able to do what I'm going to do, but no problem. It'll still look great. I'm going to be doing a nice pipe design, a classical little motif on the plate, just like this. And then I'm going to turn the plate. I'm going to do several of these. Now these little rounded parts on the motif will be used so I can put some raspberry sauce in them. And then right in the center, we're going to be having the brownies. So that is your design right there. And next we're going to be cutting up the brownies to put on top, and we're going to be serving it with some vanilla custard ice cream. So let me get that prepared and we'll be right back. All right, so we are ready to plate up our brownies. First, I'm going to be taking some raspberry sauce that I made first here, and those little round parts on the motifs, I'm going to fill with that raspberry. Now, when you are doing something like this, you want to actually give it a lot more sauce than you think without overfilling. The amount of chocolate that's on there will help to keep or maintain the sauce without spilling over, but you want a nice rounded effect when you're putting that in. So, and it gives a really nice look for when you are serving these up. All right, so that's in there. Now, next, we're going to get our brownies cut. I'm going to take a cutting board here, and I'm going to flip it over on top, and then flip the brownies onto the cutting board. That way we have them all nice and flat right there. Then I'm going to be taking my knife, and for this, we're going to make large squares. First though, I want to take off some of these edges so we don't have any of these slanted sides. When we had it on the tray, those trays have a little slant to them. So I'm just going to take that off so we don't have to worry about that. We have nice clean cuts. Move those off to the side, and anybody who's coming through the kitchen can certainly have some of those to eat. All right, so I'm going to make these fairly large, a nice brownie size. And again, we're not going to be serving these square. What I'm going to do next is have these cut, and then I'm going to make them into a triangle. That way, we have not only a placement for the brownie on the plate, but it will hold the ice cream. All right, so this is a custard vanilla ice cream to go along with the brownies. Now, I did make this. Make sure you look out for season 2 and we'll go over ice cream and how to make that. So I'm gonna be putting a nice size scoop on there. And then taking that second piece of the brownie, we'll kind of position it to where we think it looks good. I got some strawberries just to finish off and give some color to the plate. Take any of those little crumbs off of there, that way you have a nice presentation. And then I also did a couple of these motifs off to a separate piece of parchment paper. And that way we can take these off. That chocolate sets up and we have a little motif just like this that we can sit on there and complete our traying up. And there you have it. Okay, here is our plated brownie with a homemade custard vanilla ice cream, raspberry sauce, and fresh strawberries on there. I'm gonna clean up here just a little bit and I'm gonna have our guest taster on in just a moment, so we'll be right back. Okay, so as we do in every episode here this season, is we're bringing in a taste tester. So I want to invite Claudia to come on in. Claudia, thanks for joining me.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. All right, so I would like you to try a dark chocolate brownie with a homemade custard vanilla ice cream. We have a raspberry sauce in here with hand-piped motifs and fresh strawberries.
Delicious.
Have at it.
Thank you. Ooh, should I get a bite with all
That's totally up to you. Just try the brownie.
I'll just try the brownie first. Ooh. That's really good.
Yeah? Mm-hmm. Like how good?
It's extremely
like really good.
Like really, really good.
Okay, all
yeah,
right,
that's
good.
Delicious.
All right, and try it with a little bit of that ice cream in there too.
And I'm gonna get a scoop of the raspberry sauce.
Absolutely.
That brings it all together.
Good. All right, perfect. All right, well thanks for coming on.
Thank you so much
for having me. You can stay right here.
Okay.
Thank you guys for joining me again for this episode. I just want you to know that you can follow me and like me on my Instagram and Facebook pages at Benjamin Bishop Pastry Chef. And also I have a website, benjaminbishoppastrychef.com. Until next time, thank you for joining me and talk to you soon.